well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Welcome to another edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. My name is Cam Edwards. Glad to have you with us on the program today. Coming up on the show, Kurt Schlichter is going to join us. He's got a brand new book out we'll talk about, 21 Lies About Donald Trump and You. But I'm also curious to get Kurt's take on what we are seeing around the country right now in terms of the riots and the protests and the vandalism, the uptick in violence it seems that we've seen over the past week or so. Kurt has written People's Republic and the series of books that I don't want to say it's an alternate history because it's actually in the future, but the idea of the country breaking apart. And some days it really does feel like, man, we are just really close to that happening. And then you stop and you think about it. All right, we're a nation of 350 million people. Look at a city like Portland, Oregon, for example. What, about 500,000 people or so, maybe even more in the, certainly more in the Portland Metroplex. And yet, they've got what? On a good night, 700, 800 people out there that are trying to fight police officers, trying to burn down the federal courthouse there. There are not a lot of people who are creating an awful lot of noise. And I think that is amplified in large part by the mainstream media, which thrives on chaos. So how bad are things really right now? And how much worse or how much better could they get in the months ahead? Let's talk about that with Kurt Schlichter. Take a look and a listen. Mr. Schlichter, how are you, sir? I appreciate you coming on the program.
I feel like I've been dragged behind a car for 6 miles over a California road.
That good, huh? Well, I really appreciate you joining us on the program.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
This is just my excuse because you and I have yet to do a VIP Gold live chat together. So
that's right, we have.
This is just my excuse to try to do something like that. But I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about the new book, The 21 Biggest Lies About Donald Trump and You. But
everybody should buy it. Are you going to read from the promo packets that they send everybody? Kurt, what are the biggest lies about Donald Trump and you? And all these guys are asking me the same questions, right? And because I'm a freaking genius. I'm like, my God, I'm like talking to my publicist guy, man. Why do they all ask the same questions? And he's like, because I send them a packet with a list of questions to ask you. I'm like, duh.
But now, see, listen, I will say that a good host doesn't just go off of the packet. A good host should have at least one or two questions that aren't provided by the publicist. And I know, listen, if you're a morning show host, you might be interviewing 4 or 5 authors a day. I don't care. Come up with one or two original questions.
Yeah, I did a lot of hits with Frodo and the Boner in Pacoima, California, on their morning zoo.
When I have my morning show, it's going to be called Cam and Eggs. I just have to find a sidekick called Eggs.
I'm sure one will appear. I can be Eggs.
Hey, there you go. So listen, I want to ask you, like right off the bat, a question that your publicist did not provide.
Uh-oh.
I keep going back and forth. I'm looking at what's going on around the country. I'm seeing the Antifa idiots in Portland. And there's a part of me that thinks, oh boy, man, this is getting really dicey. This is probably the most unrest we've seen in this country since the 1960s. This could get really, really, really awful. And then I think to myself, all right, yeah, but listen, I mean, there are 700 people down there at the courthouse in Portland, Oregon, in a city with over 1 million people. This is, not a lot of boots on the ground. Who are out there disrupting. Yes, they're getting amplified by the media, but this is not as big a nightmare scenario as my first impulse tells me. So where are you on what we're seeing around the country right now?
You're reading it absolutely correctly. This is an information operation. They control almost no ground. I mean, the Los Angeles riots, the rioters controlled most of Los Angeles till we got on the streets. This is completely different. The first thing is it's literally performance art, and there seems to be a big push. Now everybody's getting the memo, but they're trying not to kill people. That's why these riots are different. These are political riots. What they're trying to do is create visuals. And they want to create visuals to give the impression everything's out of control. But they don't control ground of any significant size, maybe 10 football fields in the entire U.S. That's why the statue thing was so brilliant. You have a small area. You can make it look like there are a ton of people, and they're doing something, substantial that shows that the government has no power. When in reality, of course, it's the government giving them power. These Democrat mayors fly top cover. The DAs refuse to charge them. It's really just a wink and a nod thing. So, no, this is a giant information operation. It's not kinetic. People are like, oh, man, they'll come out to the suburbs. Well, there aren't that many of them. This is a country of 330 million people. I do think they're forgetting that while they read some of Alinsky's rules, they're missing an important one, which is after a while, everything becomes a drag. And I just met a guy, in the hallway the other day who's pretty non-political, or had been. And he's like, I'm buying your books, getting a gun, blah, blah, blah. We got to stop these guys. I'm like, man, you're sounding like Kurt. Cool.
I think there are more people who are sounding like Kurt. I saw a Seattle talk show host, I think he's a sports talk host, who, had bashed Trump regularly on Twitter. And then last night, the Starbucks in the building where his apartment is located got busted up, and he says, this is ridiculous. I'm pissed off. I'm going to go out. I'm going to buy a gun. This is absolutely crazy. So you're right. I mean, if the Alinsky playbook is the rules for radicals, right? And you got to keep things interesting. You got to make the radicals have fun. But looking on the outside in, you're right. All of the rest of us are like, okay, yeah, this is getting a little old. This is clearly not about George Floyd. This is clearly not about Breonna Taylor. This is now about America, and it's a bunch of wannabe Marxists who I don't think know the first real thing about communism, who are out there venting their spleens and spending their parents' trust funds, and this is not an existential crisis. As you say, it's an information operation. But how does the Trump administration respond? And what? Give me a grade the Trump administration's response to date, if you would.
I think it's a B+ because they haven't fallen into the trap, and the trap was being too aggressive. Now, what you and I think of as aggressive is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about normal sissy people. There are a lot of people out there who are don't really want this chaos. And if you sent the 82nd Airborne in to clean it up, they'd be sad. Remember, you can't tell me the number of Chicagoans killed Monday and Tuesday. Probably you can guess. You can tell me exactly how many people the Army killed in May of 1970 at Kent State.
Right.
So, by the way, the number in Kent State will probably be significantly less than the number killed in Chicago. This is all bull, and people start seeing that after a while. They had to kind of thread a needle here. They had to go from stop killing people like George Floyd to, hey, America sucks, right? And I'm not sure a lot of people were ready to make that leap. A lot of people were like, well, I don't think the cops should have put a knee on that guy and choked him to death. I think that's a bad thing. But they're not ready to say, well, now we've got to get rid of all of America and turn it into Venezuela. I mean, they just don't see the logic. And it's going to be hard for them to maintain that, despite the help of the mainstream press, which has things like moms. And I think a lot of stupid people look at that and go, oh, wall of moms. Normal people look at it and go, some doesn't smell right. First of all, a lot of those, I'm not sure they identify as moms. Second of all, this is pretty manifestly performance art. I mean, people have a way of smelling through things. And, when there are guys behind, when they show in pictures of guys in helmets and shields,
mm-hmm.
All right, they're not coming to make a quiet, prayerful protest. They're just not. And people get it. I think the Trump administration ought to make more of the injuries to the officers. Apparently, 3 got their vision screwed up. I think those guys ought to be out there saying, "Man, he shot this laser. I can't see."
Yeah.
And have his family with him. I think that would be super powerful. And you bring out the wounded cops to tell their stories, and that won't get picked up on ABC, NBC. But I'm sure Kayleigh McEnany will mention it. But we'll get picked up on Fox and stuff.
It'll get shared on Facebook until they delete it.
Yes, yeah. Just don't mention any dissent to the super sweet handling of the plague that our experts have achieved. So I think it's been good because he didn't fall in a trap. So I think it could be better. I do think people are getting exhausted by it. And now these are all Biden supporters, clearly. I mean, they won't say that, but they're all going to end up supporting Biden. And the Biden people want to use them. I think that's kind of riding a tiger because you're seeing who the guys getting canceled are now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not conservatives. They can't cancel you or me. Call up town hall. Kurt offended me. He misgendered me. And the town hall guys go, "Oh, okay." Click. Actually, knowing them, they probably laugh. But we're not vulnerable. Guys at the New York Times who are these normal, regular liberals, center-left types, they're getting creamed. But the elite that runs these institutions is exhausted anyway. The institutions are falling apart. They're a minimum 70 years old. We're still living on the post-World War II arrangements in our society.
Right. Which,
they're all exhausted. And they're run by idiots who are corrupt.
So let me ask you that then, because I agree with you completely that we are still living in that post-World War II environment. And when you look at sort of eras in American history, 70 years is a long time,
Yes.
without major changes. So I suspect that we probably will see a new era in American history at some point in the not too distant future. But what does that look like? Do things fall apart, or do we, have a stronger nation as we launch this new era?
Either one is possible. The thing is, we need a few things. First of all, we need a ruling class, by which I mean the people who run the institutions.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always people who are participating in running institutions and people who are participating in running their lives. And the people who participate, who want to run the institutions right now have all been trained at these crappy schools. So they've got no real values. I mean, you had guys who studied Latin and Greek and were well versed in religion and history and politics who were the founders of our country. And now you got a bunch of dillweeds with gender studies degrees. And how are they going to put anything together? So I think a lot of the new elite's going to come from the people who were not participating in it before. The second thing, things are going to die. Major League Baseball, Major League Football, give it 20 years. I think they will be a shadow of themselves. They'll exist in some form. Harvard will still exist in some form. Right now, it's the Correspondence College of Cambridge. There'll still be some boutique colleges for rich people to send their kids for a 4-year party. But as Goucher College, the home of our friends, the school of our friend Jonah Goldberg, will be gone. The mid-level colleges without the prestige factor are going to be gone. Who's going to pay $50,000 for a Goucher College degree? No one. Okay. Community colleges will be much bigger. They're economical. They focus more on things that people need to know. I'd like to, hopefully we'll be able to, destroy all public employee unions, including teachers unions, and make high schools what they should be, which are places that produce people qualified to be citizens. So you don't have to spend another 4 years doing what you should have done in high school. So I don't know what they'll look like. I think it'll look similar, but it won't. I don't believe it'll be the same. If it gets really ugly, the next Reconstruction won't be quite as generous.
Yeah. Talking again with our friend Kurt Schlichter. Before we run out of time, I do want to plug the book here, The 21 Biggest Lies About Donald Trump and You. Number 15 on the list of 21, by the way, Kurt. Yes, Donald Trump is a pawn of the NRA, and so are you gun nuts.
That's the one I wish were true. I mean, look, the Republicans, leave it to them to screw up, but we had the House, the Senate, and the President, and we didn't get national concealed carry reciprocity. And that was such an obvious play, and they didn't do it. And, they really need to learn through pain. And I think a lot of them, the Jeff Flakes and some of the other ones who are now gone, they've learned. But I think the other ones need to learn. When we're in power, we need to do what we need.
Whoop, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I lost you for a second. Yeah, we've got you back. We've got you back. All right. So, yes, learn from the pain. I won't disagree with that. I just, again, I look at November, and I think it's going to be there's going to be a lot of pain if Joe Biden gets in there and Democrats take back the Senate.
I wrote about that, the Joe Biden revenge agenda. I still would rather be Trump right now than Biden. I think Biden's got some structural weaknesses, starting with Biden. But I think, one of the things is a lot of the conservatives I know are absolutely sure Trump is going to win. I keep seeing people coming to Trump, but I don't see people going from Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I live out in the suburbs, and the only movement I've seen has been towards him. I haven't seen anybody go, I liked Trump before, but he was too successful and masculine. I'm going for Joe Biden. He gets in feuds with squirrels in his backyard because he's senile. I don't see that. I know what the polls say. The polls have tightened up in the last few days.
They have. And it's August. I mean, that's the thing. It's first of all, it's August. So I don't pay any attention to polls right now anyway. But we all know the problems that the pollsters have in terms of, actually getting the pulse of the electorate through a few hundred individuals, how many thousands of people they have to contact just to get those few hundred responses. I'm with you. I mean, I think that, if the election were held today, I think that Donald Trump would probably win very closely. But I think we'll have a much better idea of what things are going to look like once we get to like early October, because we don't know what the economy is going to be like. We don't know what the coronavirus is going to be like. We don't know what the loony left is going to be doing between now and then. There's a lot of variables still at play here.
All true. I think the other factor is, again, the Joe Biden factor. Right now, Trump is running against Trump. Biden is kind of a non-factor. He's hiding out in the basement, looking for that lost slipper, trying to remember to shut his robe, so the whole butcher shop ain't hanging out. And I think Trump is holding his fire on this guy's manifest mental decline. He's going to wait till the nomination is done. It's sealed. He's got a vice president. He is locked in. And frankly, the high polls for Biden are doing the Democrats no favor. They can't get rid of him. And they know there are problems with this guy. They know it. But in October, everyone starts paying attention. And they're locked in, and Trump unleashes on Biden. And the only way for Biden to prove that, he's not a dithering, demented old freak is to get out there and prove it. And I don't think he's capable of doing it.
Well, it's going to be an interesting couple of months. Kurt, as always, my friend, I do appreciate you coming on the program. It is so good talking with you, and I hope we get a chance to do this. Maybe next time again, we'll try to do this like later in the evening. We can have a drink or two while we're doing this.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah, because we can't start drinking. I mean, it's like 8:30 your time, so we can't do that early in the morning.
Can't.
Well, I mean, we could always have a Bloody Mary breakfast, I suppose, next time. That's right. Kurt Schlichter, go get his new book, The 21 Biggest Lies About Donald Trump and You. And Kurt, we will talk to you soon, sir. Appreciate Kurt spending some time with us as always. And don't forget to buy that book. All right, let's get to today's Armed Citizen story and our good deed of the day, our recidivist report as well. Although this one isn't really a recidivist report, although it's a criminal justice fail. Let's call it that. Haverhill, Massachusetts, the Lawrence Eagle Tribune reporting on the story of two young men who involved in a gang-related shooting that investigators described as a love triangle shooting that will spend absolutely no time behind bars. Yeah, in Haverhill District Court this week, both the guy who pulled the trigger and the getaway driver in that incident appeared before a judge and were told, in essence, you're free to go. Set free on probation. David Trongo, Casey Druin, each sentenced to 30 days in jail, which is the time that they served while they were waiting for their case to be heard in court. They also received 18 months in jail, suspended for 2 years. Both Trudeau, who lives in Manchester, and Druin, who's a resident of Haverhill, Massachusetts, are now on probation. We're told that they could be sent back to jail for 18 months. It could be. Could. Not would. Could. If they violate probation during that suspended 2-year sentence, they must remain drug and alcohol free. They must have no contact with the victim. Must not possess firearms. Police said that this, again, appeared to be a gang-related incident. Trudeau fired a single shot into the home of Zachary Monaco, who had threatened his buddy Drulin because he was jealous that Drulin was dating Monaco's ex-girlfriend. According to Monaco's ex-girlfriend, in the parking lot of a Wendy's in Bradford, Massachusetts, last November, Monaco pulled out a gun, told a new boyfriend, I'm going to shoot you in the head. She also said that Monaco, while holding a knife, told Drulin to, quote, control your bleep before I stab her. A week later, Haverhill police responded to shots fired at Monaco's home. Monaco was not at home during the time of the shooting. His mom, however, was decorating a Christmas tree, and a bullet entered the home about 15 feet from her. The ex-girlfriend apparently went to the Haverhill police station at one point to talk with police about what happened. The defense attorney for Trongo disputed the testimony of the ex-girlfriend, calling it, quote, hearsay based on hearsay. Monaco, by the way, was also arrested for his role in the incident as well. He's actually still in jail on charges of making threats and assault with a dangerous weapon. He is scheduled for a court appearance next August. But yeah, shooting a round through a woman's home lands at 30 days in jail and a 2-month suspended sentence in the state of Massachusetts. But if you're caught with a single round of ammunition on you and you don't have a license to carry, you can be looking at years in prison, because that's how messed up Massachusetts gun laws really are. All right, on to our armed citizen story from Butte, Montana, where KBZK reports that a woman returned to her home on Friday evening to find a strange man asleep on her couch. Yeah, that's not ever a good thing. She held the man at gunpoint until police arrived and arrested Michael Berberick of Billings, Montana, who, by the way, was armed. Authorities found a pistol as well as a set of brass knuckles on him. He allegedly told police that he thought that he was in Billings instead of Butte. Yeah, I know you weren't, and you weren't in your home. He, as of Monday, remained in jail, faces charges, including, by the way, a parole violation. One wonders if there's not a felon in possession charge in his future as well. Thankfully, again, that woman able to protect herself. No shots fired, like the vast majority of defensive gun uses in this country. The presence of that firearm was enough to prevent that intruder from doing anything untowards in regards to the victim in this incident. We are glad to see that. Finally today, our good deed of the day from Alabama, where normally, we have stories where police officers saving teenagers from drowning. Now, this time around, it's the other way around. An Alabama teenager actually saving the life of a police officer, K-E-E-L. Did I do one too many E's? K-E-E-L. There you go. Just two. Find out about this 15-year-old boy on Lake Tuscaloosa in Alabama. Grady McClendon discovered a boat that had caught fire. He immediately called Tuscaloosa police. Officer arrived. Grady showed him where the boat was located and was attempting to tow the boat to shore when the fully engulfed boat sank. As Brady looked back, he saw a puff of smoke, and he saw the officer was waving for him to return. He discovered that the sinking vessel had also pulled the officer's boat under the water. So the teen was then able to pull the officer onto his craft, took him to the police station on the lake. As he put it, he then, quote, went about his day. The 15-year-old, though, says he got a call from the officer later on saying, quote, he thanked me for what I did. I sent him some of the pictures of the boat, but he's called me several times. We've talked about the incident since it happened. He said anybody put in that position at the right time to do the right thing is going to do the right thing. In my opinion, he says, I was that one person who was put in that position, and I just did the right thing, I guess. Well, indeed you did, in the right place at the right time, and willing and able to do the right thing. Grady McClendon, there in Alabama, we thank you, sir, for your very good deed. That is all the time we've got for you on this edition of Bearing Arms Cam & Company. I want to thank you for being a part of the program. Hey, a reminder, coming up Wednesday, 12:30 Eastern, for our VIP Gold members, you can take part in a live chat with myself, Hot Air's Ed Morrissey, Townhall.com's Julio Rosas, and you will lead the conversation. Whatever is on your mind, it's your chance to sound off and hear what we have to say as well. These are a lot of fun. We have a great time. Julio being quite a bit younger than Ed and I. There's a nice little generation gap that goes along with these live chats. So I hope that you can be a part of that. If you go to bearingarms.com, you can find info on how to sign up and become a VIP Gold member, which will not only get you access to live chats like the one that's coming up tomorrow, but also exclusive analysis, commentary, not only at Bearing Arms, by the way, but throughout the Town Hall media family. So that's, Red State, that's townhall.com, Twitchy, Hot Air, PJ Media. I feel like I'm leaving out at least one of them. I did mention Bearing Arms, right? Yeah. But there's a huge, huge library of stuff that is available only to our VIP Gold subscribers. And we certainly do appreciate all your support in helping us continue to give you the latest Second Amendment news and information. So be sure to tune in for that tomorrow. We will also be back with another edition of Bearing Arms Cam & Company tomorrow as well, with more of the latest Second Amendment news and information. But until then, be well, be safe, be free, and we'll see you soon with another edition of Bearing Arms Cam & Company.